My beloved child, something shifted last night in a way your mind cannot yet fully grasp, and if you are feeling an unexplainable pull, a strange heaviness mixed with anticipation, it is not random and it is not your imagination, because while you were resting, while your guard was down and your conscious mind was silent, a decision about your future, about your connection, about a sacred union that has been forming behind the scenes was quietly discussed, weighed, and moved forward without your awareness, and the energy of that moment is still traveling toward you right now, reaching you in subtle waves, making your heart beat a little differently, making your thoughts wander back to someone you cannot quite forget, because this is not just about love in the ordinary sense. This is about alignment, about timing, about two paths that have been circling each other finally being acknowledged by forces greater than what you can see. And you may wonder how something so important could happen without you being physically present, but understand this: not every decision that shapes your life happens in rooms you can walk into. Some decisions happen in silence, in hearts, in late-night thoughts, in conversations you were never meant to hear but were always meant to feel the result of. And last night was one of those moments where someone connected to your destiny, someone whose thoughts have been returning to you again and again, reached a point where they could no longer ignore what they feel, where the idea of a future involving you stopped being a distant possibility and started becoming something real, something they began to accept. And even though doubts may still exist, even though fear may still whisper to them, something deeper overpowered that hesitation and pushed them toward a decision that includes you in a way that changes everything. And you might not see immediate proof, you might not get a message right away, you might not hear words that confirm it today, but the shift has already happened, and once a decision like this is made, it sets off a chain of events that cannot be easily reversed. It begins to rearrange circumstances, to align timing, to create moments where paths cross again, where conversations happen, where truths come to the surface. And that is why you feel this subtle tension, this quiet expectation building inside you, because your soul recognizes movement even when your eyes do not. And what makes this even more intense is the fact that this decision was not made lightly. It was not impulsive or careless. It came after a period of deep thinking, of inner conflict, of questioning whether this connection was real or just a passing emotion. And despite all the reasons they may have had to walk away or to ignore it, they couldn't fully detach from you. There was always something pulling them back, something reminding them that you are not like the others, that what exists between you carries a weight that cannot be dismissed. And last night that realization reached a point where it demanded acknowledgement, where it forced them to stop pretending that you don't matter as much as you do. And even if they haven't fully expressed it yet, even if they still appear distant or uncertain on the outside, internally something has changed, something has settled. And decisions like this have a way of revealing themselves over time in ways that feel almost too perfectly timed to be coincidence. And you may start to notice small signs, unexpected interactions, moments where their presence becomes stronger in your life again. And it will feel strange at first because you didn't witness the moment everything shifted, but you are living in the aftermath of it. And that is why patience becomes important now, not passive waiting, but grounded awareness, because rushing or forcing clarity can disrupt the natural unfolding that has already begun. And you deserve a connection that comes toward you with certainty, not confusion, with intention, not hesitation. And what happened last night is a step in that direction, even if it is still invisible to you. And there is also something you need to understand clearly: not every decision guarantees immediate action, Sometimes a decision is the beginning of a process, a commitment made internally before it becomes visible externally. And that space between decision and action can feel uncertain if you don't know what is happening behind the scenes, but now you do, now you know that something real has shifted, something that involves you in a meaningful way, and that awareness should not make you anxious, it should anchor you. It should remind you that you are not chasing something that doesn't exist, you are connected to something that is slowly making its way toward manifestation, and the reason it had to happen without your knowledge is because certain truths need to form without external pressure, without influence, without fear of reaction, so they can be genuine and unfiltered, and what was decided carries that authenticity. It was not influenced by what you might say or do, it came from within them, from a place that recognizes your value even in your absence, and that is powerful because it means this is not about convenience or temporary emotion, this is about something that has endured distance, silence, and doubt, and still found a way to move forward. And you might question whether this is really about you, whether you are reading too much into subtle feelings, but ask yourself why this sense of knowing keeps returning, why you cannot fully detach from the idea of this person, why your intuition keeps nudging you back toward this connection. It is because something is indeed unfolding, something that began long before last night but reached a new level of clarity during that moment. And as this energy continues to move, you will start to see confirmation in ways that feel almost undeniable, and when that happens, remember this moment. Remember that even when you couldn't see it, something important was already being set in motion, and you were never as unaware as you thought. Your soul felt it, your energy responded to it, and now all that remains is for reality to catch up with what has already been decided in the unseen. And as that happens, stay grounded, stay observant, and most importantly stay open, because what is coming toward you is not random. It is the result of a choice that was made when everything was quiet, when truth was clearer than fear, and that kind of decision carries a weight that eventually becomes impossible to hide. And even now, as you continue moving through your day, unaware on the surface yet deeply connected beneath it all, the energy of that decision is still unfolding, still expanding into moments that are quietly arranging themselves around you, because what was set into motion last night did not end with that single realization. It began a ripple effect that is now influencing thoughts, actions, and even the timing of future encounters in ways you cannot fully see yet but will soon begin to notice. And the person connected to this decision is not at peace in the way they used to be, because once a truth like this settles into the heart, it refuses to stay silent, it begins to demand expression, it begins to create a pressure that pushes them toward you even if they try to resist it. Even if they attempt to distract themselves or convince themselves that nothing has changed, deep down they know something has. And that knowing is starting to affect how they see you, how they think about you, how often your presence appears in their mind when they least expect it, because this is no longer just a passing feeling or a vague curiosity, it has crossed into intention, into something that holds weight, into something that is beginning to reshape their emotional world. And that is why you may soon feel a shift in their behavior, subtle at first but impossible to ignore once you become aware of it. Perhaps a sudden message, a small attempt to reconnect, a change in the way they respond to you, or even an unexpected encounter that feels almost too perfectly timed to be coincidence. And when those moments begin to happen, do not brush them off as random, because they are directly connected to what was decided when you were not present. they are the physical manifestation of an internal commitment that is slowly making its way into reality. And this is where many people become confused, because they expect instant clarity, immediate declarations, dramatic gestures that confirm everything all at once, but real decisions, the kind that carry long-term significance, often reveal themselves gradually, layer by layer, in a way that allows both people involved to adjust, to understand, and to align without overwhelming the connection. And this is exactly the phase you are entering now, a phase where things begin to move, but not in an obvious or loud way, rather in a quiet, almost mysterious manner that requires your awareness and your trust. And it is important that you do not let impatience or doubt interfere with this process, because those emotions can cloud your perception and make you misinterpret what is actually progress. And understand this clearly: the person involved is still navigating their own internal landscape. They are still processing what this decision means, how it will affect their life, what changes they will need to make, what risks they will have to take. And even though they have reached a point of clarity, action still requires courage. And courage does not always appear instantly. Sometimes it builds slowly as the reality of the decision becomes more real with each passing moment. And this is why their actions may not immediately match the depth of what they feel, not because the feeling is weak, but because the weight of it is strong. And strong emotions often come with strong hesitation before they are fully expressed. And during this time, your role is not to chase or to force, but to remain steady, to remain grounded in your own energy, because the more balanced and secure you are, the easier it becomes for them to step forward without fear of instability or rejection. And this does not mean you have to wait passively or ignore your own needs. It means you stay aligned with your self-worth. You continue living your life without putting everything on hold, while also remaining open to the changes that are approaching. Because what is unfolding is not meant to trap you in uncertainty. It is meant to lead you into a connection that is more intentional, more aware, and more real than anything that existed before. And you may also begin to notice that your own thoughts about this person are becoming more intense or more frequent, almost as if something is pulling your attention toward them. And that is not accidental. It is a reflection of the energetic bridge that has been strengthened by the decision that was made. Because when two people become aligned on a deeper level, even if only one of them is consciously aware of it at first, that alignment begins to influence both sides. It creates a subtle communication that goes beyond words, beyond physical interaction. And that is why you feel drawn without fully understanding why. And as this continues, there will come a moment, a turning point where things can no longer remain hidden or unspoken, where the person involved reaches a level of certainty that pushes them into action, where the risk of staying silent becomes greater than the fear of expressing what they feel. And when that moment arrives, it will not feel forced, it will not feel confusing, it will feel natural, almost inevitable, like something that was always meant to happen finally finding its way into reality. And when you look back, you will realize that the signs were there all along, that the shift began before you ever saw it, that the connection was evolving even in moments when it felt still or uncertain. And this understanding will give you a sense of clarity that replaces any doubt you may have now, and prepares you for what is about to unfold next. Because this is not the end of the story. This is the middle of a transformation that is still gaining momentum, still building towards something that will soon require both of you to step forward, to communicate, and to face what has been silently growing between you. And when that time comes, you will not need to question whether it is real, because everything you are experiencing now will make sense in a way that feels undeniable. And until then, trust the process that has already begun, trust the shift that has already taken place, and most importantly, trust yourself to recognize what is coming when it finally reaches you in a form you can no longer ignore. And as everything continues to unfold in ways you cannot yet fully predict, there is something even deeper happening beneath the surface that you must understand, because this is not just about a decision that was made and the slow movement toward you. It is about a transformation that is affecting both sides of this connection in ways that are preparing you for something far more serious than what existed before. And the reason this phase feels intense at times, confusing at times, and almost surreal in certain moments is because you are stepping into a version of this connection that requires emotional readiness, not just desire, not just curiosity, but a level of awareness that allows something real to finally take shape. And the person connected to you is beginning to feel that weight more strongly with each passing moment, because once a decision like the one made last night settles into the heart, it does not stay quiet. It begins to echo through everything. It begins to influence how they view their future, how they measure their choices, and how they define what truly matters to them. And you are now part of that equation in a way that cannot easily be removed or ignored. And that realization is both powerful and overwhelming for them, because it forces them to confront truths they may have avoided before. It forces them to recognize that what they feel for you is not temporary, it is not shallow, and it is not something they can replace with something easier or more convenient. And that is exactly why you may sense a strange push and pull energy coming from them in the coming days or weeks, because while one part of them is being drawn toward you with increasing clarity, another part is still adjusting to the reality of what this connection demands. And that internal conflict is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign that what they feel is real enough to challenge them, real enough to change them, and real enough to require growth before it can fully be expressed. And during this time you may find yourself questioning certain things, wondering why the timing feels uncertain, why the communication is not yet as clear as you might expect, why moments of closeness are sometimes followed by distance. But understand this clearly: these fluctuations are not random, they are part of the process of alignment. They are part of two people moving from uncertainty into clarity, from hesitation into intention, and from possibility into something that has the potential to become permanent. And what makes this even more significant is that the decision made last night has already crossed a line that cannot easily be undone, because once someone allows themselves to truly consider a future with you, once they accept that idea not as a fantasy but as something real, it changes how they move forward. It changes the way they approach you, the way they respond to your presence, and the way they handle the connection as a whole, even if they are not yet fully expressing it in words. And that is why you must remain aware of the subtle shifts rather than waiting only for obvious confirmation, because the truth often reveals itself in small, consistent changes before it becomes undeniable in larger actions. And you are entering a phase where those small changes will begin to accumulate. They will begin to form a pattern that you cannot ignore, and when you look back you will realize that everything was building toward a single moment, a moment where silence is no longer an option, where the connection either moves forward with honesty or risks losing the opportunity entirely. And that moment is approaching, whether you can see it now or not. And when it arrives, it will require both of you to stand in your truth without fear, without hesitation, and without the need to hide behind uncertainty, because what has been forming between you has already proven that it is strong enough to survive distance, confusion, and time. And now it is moving toward A stage where it must be acknowledged openly, and what you need to focus on right now is not forcing that moment to come faster, but preparing yourself to receive it in the right way, because when something like this finally comes into the open, it can feel overwhelming if you are not grounded in your own understanding of what you deserve and what you are willing to accept. And this is where your power lies, not in chasing, not in overanalyzing every small sign, but in staying centered in your own energy and trusting that what is meant for you will not require you to lose yourself in the process. And as this continues to unfold, you will begin to notice a shift not only in them but in yourself as well, a stronger sense of clarity, a deeper understanding of your own emotions, and a quiet confidence that replaces the confusion you may have felt before, because your intuition is aligning with reality. Your inner knowing is beginning to match what is actually happening, and that alignment creates a sense of calm even in the middle of uncertainty, and that is how you will know that you are on the right path, not because everything is loud and obvious, but because even in the silence there is a sense of direction, there is a feeling that something is moving exactly as it should. And as this final phase approaches, the energy between you and this person will become harder to ignore. Conversations will carry more meaning, eye contact will feel more intense, and moments of connection will start to feel different, as if something unspoken is waiting just beneath the surface, ready to be revealed. And when that revelation finally happens, when the truth that has been building behind the scenes is brought into the light, it will not feel like a surprise in the way you might expect. It will feel like recognition, like something you have known all along finally being spoken out loud. And in that moment, everything that once felt confusing will begin to make sense, because you will see how every delay, every silence, every internal struggle was leading to this point where both of you are finally ready to face what has been real from the very beginning. And when that happens, you will understand why it had to unfold the way it did, why the decision was made in silence, why the process took time, and why you were never meant to control it, but only to trust it. Because what is coming is not just a moment of clarity, it is the beginning of something that has the potential to reshape your future in a way that feels both powerful and inevitable. And when you step into that moment, remember this: you were always part of the decision, even if you were not physically present when it was made, because your presence, your energy, and your connection were the reason it happened in the first place. And now everything that follows is simply the world catching up to what has already been decided in the unseen, and what was once hidden will soon stand in front of you, clear, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. What is about to unfold will no longer live in silence, because the truth that was once hidden is now ready to be seen and felt in a way that changes everything for both of you. The distance that once created confusion will begin to close as actions slowly start matching the emotions that were kept inside for so long. You will notice that the connection feels stronger, more direct, and impossible to ignore, as if something is guiding both of you toward the same point at the same time. The person who once hesitated will begin to show signs of certainty, even if it starts in small, quiet ways that only you can truly recognize. Conversations will carry a different weight as unspoken feelings begin to surface, and the energy between you becomes undeniable. You will realize that nothing that happened before was wasted, because every delay, every silence was shaping this exact moment of clarity. The fear that once held things back will lose its power as truth becomes more important than avoiding the unknown. You will feel a sense of calm within yourself, because deep down you will know that what is happening is real and not just imagined. The connection will reach a point where it must either fully come together or reveal its truth completely without confusion. And when that final moment arrives, you will understand that the decision made that night was never separate from you, it was always leading both of you to this exact beginning.